So here we are wrapping up day 3 at SHOT Show. Saw a bunch of really cool stuff today, met a few people, and got some of my questions answered. So without any more, let's get right to it. My first stop of the day was back at the Etienne booth. I wanted to take a little bit more of a look at the 4K Pro model. Was fortunate enough to meet with one of the moderators from the Etienne Owners Group forum, and he walked me through the specifics of this optic. He showed me how to use their Bluetooth rangefinder as well as how to enter data using a standard non-connected rangefinder. And I learned how the system calculates a firing solution based on the target's position at elevation. Like I said earlier in a previous video, the main reason I wanted to see this was to find out if they had addressed what I thought were some of the shortcomings of the HD model, and I think they've definitely done that. It puts this optic, I don't know if you can really call it a scope because it's a video camera, it's a night vision system, I'm not sure how to classify it, but I think it puts it on the list of something worth investigating further and possibly even purchasing. Next up was a stop at the Umarex booth. Umarex got its start making replica starter pistols in Germany years ago, and they've really come on quite a bit, both in the market of replicas and the market now of pre-charged pneumatic rifles. While there was lots to see, my mission was to check out the Umarex gauntlet in 25 cal. This is the rifle I recently won from the Airgun Sportsman's Association, and so it's supposed to be shipping to me pretty soon, and we'll get a review out as soon as we're able. Up front, the gauntlet starts with a shrouded and baffled rifled barrel. Air handling is done by a regulated steel tank that's supposed to supply about 3 magazines before dropping off the regulator. I was told that that regulator is made by Ninja, which is a long-standing paintball company that's got a reputation for making a quality product. Because of how the regulator is in the system, it requires that you empty the tank before removing it. So this is not a gun that is going to allow you to buy multiple bottles and carry them with you for longer hunting trips. The gauntlet is magazine fed, and in the display gun I found the trigger to be fairly light and reasonably crisp. It's bolt action and is topped by 11mm dovetail rails. I found the stock to be comfortable to shoulder and point. I thought it was pretty solid, although at the back end it does have a little bit more of a plasticky feel. On the upside you get an adjustable cheek piece and swivel studs installed. I'm looking forward to getting this out on the range, and we will have a full test on this as soon as it arrives. Next up was a stop at the Air Force booth. Air Force is an interesting airgun manufacturer, and more interesting is the fact that they recently acquired Rapid Air Weapons, or RAW, and so RAW weapons were also on display at their booth. Just look at the size of this moderator, but that's what you need if you want to quiet down a 45 caliber big bore airgun. What you're seeing here is 2 of the same guns, not 45 caliber of course, but 2 of the same guns, the Texan, one with the shroud off and one with the shroud on. This just gives you an idea of the difference. I owned an Air Force Condor. It was a great gun. It shot very well a little less ergonomic than a lot of other manufacturers, but definitely a good straightforward design that appeals to a lot of people. The rapid air weapon is a totally different animal. These are works of art, super accurate, heavy, but then again, they're bench guns. I find the grips to be a little bit chunky, but I tend to grip it like I'm going out hunting. I think the great thing about the new relationship between Air Force and RAW is that these will be available in greater numbers going forward. I know Ken Hicks from Southern Precision Air Weapons swears by them, and if you want advice on accurate air guns, Ken Hicks is the guy to talk to. My next stop was at the Stoeger airgun booth. Stoeger has a new break barrel rifle coming out. That's not really my thing, so I didn't spend a lot of time looking at it. But as I was leaving, I caught a glimpse of these pistols and went over to have a look. Right off, I could see that it was a single-stroke pneumatic. It has a fairly basic open sight package and seemed like it was very much designed like a great number of other single-stroke pneumatics. I'd never even heard of this before, and this is something I'm interested in. So I asked around, and it took me a few minutes to find somebody at Stoeger who could even really talk to me about it. Apparently, it was set to be scrapped as a project. But then one of the engineers picked it up and shot it after they'd already developed prototypes. And he said he had so much fun shooting it that they decided to keep it in the product line. It's going to be priced somewhere between the Beeman P17 and the more expensive German-made version. I have my fingers crossed that I'll be getting a sample to do some test and evaluation on. And of course, if that actually happens, you'll hear about it here. Gamo is another major player in the airgun world. I've personally never shot one of their rifles, but clearly at SHOT Show, one of the big things they were promoting is the Swarm line. The Swarm is a magazine-fed break barrel system. Other reviewers indicate that it works pretty well. I think new for this year is a bone collector edition with a wood stock. It did look very nice in person, and if that's what you're into, you might want to check it out. Nobody could tell me much about this guy, but if it's the trophy, I want to win it. After hanging out with Senor Squirrel, I made a quick stop at the BSA booth. I'd never picked up a BSA rifle before. They certainly are heavy. And I guess as long as that weight translates to quality, there's no problem. The fit and finish on these rifles was excellent. The woodwork was gorgeous, and the triggers, as much as you can tell on a gun at a trade show, were decent. Like I said, I've never had an opportunity to handle a BSA rifle before. There are no dealers in my area, so it was nice to see something new. The reviews I've seen on the Defiant, this particular rifle, seem to be in the you'll either love it or hate it category. The one thing I haven't seen a reviewer mention is the side lever cocking action. It's moved forward like the action on an FX Wildcat, so I thought I'd mention that. While I was in the Air Venturi booth talking about single-stroke pneumatics, I was recommended that I stop by the Sig Sauer booth to see something they have on the horizon. This is Sig Sauer's new ASP Super Target pistol. What Sig is trying to do is straddle the sport shooting pistol market and the introductory level 10 meter market. It'll be interesting to see how well this shoots. Like almost all single-stroke pneumatics, the gun operates by pulling back on the hammer to lever the top section forward. Air fills the internal piston, and when it is compressed, it fires a .177 caliber pellet that is fed directly into the breech. Sights are adjustable for both windage and elevation, and everything is clearly marked and turns crisply as it should. The pistol looks to have an adjustable trigger and actual real wood grips. Of course, accuracy remains to be seen, but it's built on a pretty proven platform, and I think Sig might have a winner on their hands here. My last stop for the day was at the Athlon Optics booth to check out some of their first focal plane offerings. They have a lot of offerings. There's a lot of variety, different reticles, different magnification levels, and of course different price points. The two things I took away from my visit to their booth are as follows. One, the people who are part of Athlon are super passionate about their scopes. And two, they're coming in at very attractive price points based on what you're getting for your money. That may be something you want to check out in the future. On my way out of the expo center, I ran into a few familiar faces. All I can say is these are great guys who were kind enough to take a few minutes to stop and talk to me. I know they were busy doing their own thing, but I think one of the great things about being involved in the airgun industry, to the extent that I'm involved in it, is that the people who really are truly involved are nice people who will take the time to talk to you. My guess is if you saw them on the street and you stopped to say hi, you'd learn something you didn't already know. Thanks, guys, for taking the time to watch today, and we'll be back tomorrow with day 4. Still a little bit more to show, and then there'll be another video coming out with a wrap-up of what I think the best things I saw at the show were. Take care.